Yeah.
Yeah,
Or with Pat Owen, but I think it was longer with Alyssa.
yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Are we starting? Are we just doing it?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
welcome
yeah.
back, everybody.
Hello, my
Uh,
friends.
Yes, we just spoke with Steve Maxwell, and you're about to listen to him. And this guy is just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, he's a gem.
It's the
He's,
second time we had him on, and he can just you can just give this guy the spotlight, and he'll just know everything about everything.
so much experience, so much knowledge, so much, and like we talked about it a lot throughout the podcast. A lot of humility and just learning new shit all the time. And like he even mentioned Ido Portal, like that's kind of his philosophy, if you will. We didn't really talk about it more than that, really, but it's just cool to see. You'll hear him talk about like he's into this kind of like a cane martial art now, and you can see him light up when he talks about it. He's like having fun, getting better at it, and teaching other people, and it's cool.
Yeah,
it's a really cool thing to see.
He's like 68 years old, I believe, and he's still learning new things. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, probably almost close to red belt at this stage. He's been taught under the best of the best. He started up with the Gracie family. He learned under Helio and all the brothers and sons of the lineage of that family. You can Google it if you don't know, but they pretty much started jiu-jitsu. And to hear at 68, so late in his career, still learning new martial arts, still doing cane fighting and researching and growing, it just shows you that this path doesn't end, and
you can learn if you don't want it to.
That it's in your control, right? And yeah, that was really awesome to hear. Like Steve Maxwell teaching cane fighting, I would have never thought.
No,
yeah.
But I like it's just fun to explore, and it's cool that like he's talking about how he's kind of drawing from everything that he's ever really learned and creating. I'm sure it's coming through him. Yeah. So it's just gonna be whatever he kind of deems it to be. But he has so much respect and knowledge for that, like respect for the knowledge that he's attained. It's like at the end he was saying he was talking about his programs and his strength and conditioning. Maybe I can't afford it. I don't know what this guy charges. I have no idea.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
I would love to have this guy as my trainer. Even I feel like if I had him for a few months, I would just learn so much, and it would change my way of working out for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a wealth of knowledge and years of experience behind him. So whatever the price is, you're buying into some.
Either way, that's
some very rare accumulation of knowledge. Like this guy is trained all across the world with every kind of walk of life. He trained in Russia and Moscow, and then Brazil, and then so he's gathered so many modalities and so many different systems into one. So I think it's like, I'm interested too. I think it would really change my whole perspective of fitness, because he comes from a different approach, which you all will hear soon, and it's really fascinating, where he kind of went back in time to like the pre-1940 systems of training, where they didn't have many supplements or things, and kind of brought that back. And he trains a lot more for prevention, injury prevention, but maintaining longevity. Like he's 68, and it's hard to see his whole body on camera because it's just zoomed in on his face. But he's got like abs. He's in great shape. He moves well. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's still rolling. Like clearly he's doing something right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he like you said, he's combing into the past and just trying to always find what works, and he's also paying attention over time to see who isn't like maintaining that longevity, or who isn't like who's in a bad shape essentially, and he's doing his best to dodge that, and it's working, and he's just a genius. He's just like a master of the craft of many crafts. It's I'm honestly really thinking about it. Like I might call this guy up and do it. Like you'll get it at the end of the podcast, but he's the website was Maxwell Maxwell Strength and Conditioning .com, I imagine. And guys, enjoy. I mean, it's we had a blast talking to him. I can't believe it's only the second time. Like this time, it felt more like a friend. This time, it felt more like we just jazzed and had
First
fun.
time it was just knowledge bombs, and we're just
he would like. we joked about it. Like we didn't get to talk much, but like, well, I listened to it again, and I'm glad we didn't talk. Like the dude just knows too much. Like just shut up and listen when the master is speaking. Shut up and listen.
In all honesty, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. But If you haven't heard the first one, jump in and hear the first one. I don't remember what number it is. I'll put like the link below.
30 something. You said.
It was in the, I believe it was in the 30s.
Yeah, he's old school for
old
us.
school, man. Old school curious chimp. He's one of us. Chimps.
Hardcore. Yeah. So guys, I mean, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, do those things. We're seeing you guys doing it, and it's helping us out. So keep going. Share the ones you like. You know, we have so many guests at this point. It's like so random and just there's something for everybody. And there's just us jazzing it up sometimes, which is really fun as well. And we just talk about like life and psychedelics and self-improvement and just whatever the fuck comes to us.
All that juicy stuff.
All the juice, man. So we appreciate it. It's been showing. So, our numbers are growing, and we like that. We like the views going up. We like the subs going up. We're reaching more people. We like what we're doing. And when we see other people seeing it, it fucking makes me happy, honestly.
Yeah, it's true. And look, like me and Sammy, we're going to be full disclosure. There's nothing to hide in this podcast, but we talk about you guys and how to engage with you more and how to grow this podcast. But you know what's reoccurring, and Sammy always brings it up, and it's really important, is just us doing what we're doing is already perfect, man.
Yeah, we're having fun.
You guys are awesome, whether you engage or not. We're having so much fun doing this. I would love to see the numbers grow and to see it become what we want it to become. But if it doesn't, it's just as fun.
That's what's fucked up. It's like, this is good.
Yeah,
this is fun.
But
I don't want to say that sometimes because I want to the moon, like everybody wants it to go. But
if it happens, it happens. But you know what? Whoever's on this journey with us, let's fucking ride this wave. Like, we're nothing without you, and you're nothing without us. No, not that far yet. But we're nothing without you. And
but we're doing it for it's just mutual enjoyment.
It's a mutual enjoyment. That's the perfect. It's a ceremony. It's just like we're all in it together, kind of thing, and it's fun. So look, I'm gonna leave you all with that little peace bomb. I love you all. This is awesome. I love you, Sammy, bro. This is like 73 or 74 right now.
I can't believe it,
dude. Like,
really
people ask me, it's like, how long you guys been doing this for? I'm like, just count the episodes. That's 1 week per episode, so that's like 74 weeks.
Give or take a month, maybe.
Yeah,
like we've missed a few weeks here and there, but
it's a journey, and you know what? It's never felt like work. Like, we were concerned about that at some point. Remember?
I think we could put more work in, but like, we're just having fun, and we're not. There's a balance. We'll figure it out. But it's you guys are half the game, So you're commenting, you're sharing, you're doing.
Just keep growing.
Yeah, it's a media. You guys like what you see, and you're sharing it to other people, and it's cool. It's just cool. It's weird. It's a little surreal and stuff. Anyway, yeah.
All right.
What he said.
Yes.
Stay curious. We love you.
Love you guys. What's up, beautiful people? I'm Nathaniel Pearl.
And I'm Sammy Sheva.
And welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast, a show where we explore the infinite complexities of the human experience.
We do not endorse anything illegal, so please consult doctors, do your research, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
Anyway, we'll just start. We could keep talking about movies. I don't give a shit. But Mr. Steve Maxwell back in black.
Welcome back.
Yeah, man. It's been a while, dude. We're like 7.
Thanks. How long has it been?
I don't know, honestly. Like a year.
Yeah, because you were in the episode in the 30s, and now we're in the 70s. So it's been over a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I think it was just at the beginning of this crazy reality that we're all experiencing.
It's true. We talked a bit about it. You were very on the conspiracy bullshit side, of just like
all I know is I was pretty much unscathed.
Yeah.
And my business did better than ever, so it was no big deal for me personally.
I'm happy you say that, because a lot of times I'm having the conversation with people that like it's not as bad as you think. There's a lot of fear mongering. And people are just at home, working from home, talking to like a small group of people, and you can really get trapped and feel like it's the end of the world. And I have friends who at first were very much like, yo, fuck the government and all this kind of mentality. And of course they're going to capitalize and do, some assholes in power are going to take some more power kind of thing. But now a few of them are like, fuck it, I'm getting the vaccine. I just want things to go back to normal. And I'm over here like happy. I'm still seeing people. I'm still doing my thing kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. I never took precautions. I mean, I wore a mask only because people were too uncomfortable if I didn't. But, I didn't do it for my own safety.
That's it.
You know, I've always been pretty much against vaccines. I mean, I never, especially ones that weren't tested. I don't care what they say, haven't been tested.
No, they're being tested. It's scary.
I tend to read a lot of alternative health views, so I was already biased against it. I was telling people I'd rather get the damn coronavirus than get the vaccine. It has 99% survival rate. Yeah. I think I might have had it, actually, to tell the God's honest truth. I just felt really uncomfortable for about 3 days, very high elevated heart rate. And for your listeners that don't know me, I'm 68 years old, so I'm in that so-called demographic where, it's supposed to be dangerous. But, other than just a little difficulty breathing when I would take my daily walks, and I just didn't feel like strength training or doing jiu-jitsu or anything. So I just took it easy for about 3 days, fasted most of it. And, I came out the other end. I felt great. So I don't know. It was no big deal. For populations that are really vulnerable, do what you think you have to. That's what I told my clients. I do online personal training, and I have a lot of clients. I said, look, it's up to you. I'm not going to advise you one way or another. Yeah. This is what I'm doing. You do what you think you have to, and base it on an informed decision. Don't just blindly be a sheeple and a sheep and just go along with mandates and all that. Read for yourself. Listen to both sides. Listen to alternative views. Listen to the mainstream, and then make your own decision based on on the information that you have, what you feel comfortable with.
Well, that's it. I think a lot of decisions right now are just out of fear and panic, and just out of like this crave for normal life. But I think you need to sit back, at least for me, sit back and observe what's going on and really come up to my own conclusions. And I haven't yet. And that's why I haven't acted with this vaccine or whatever. I haven't processed if I actually want this or if it's just external pressures, because me personally, I'm not afraid of this virus. I rather get it like you. I think I'll be fine. And I have a pretty good protocol if I do get sick, in like the fasting, the sauna, just movement, and just breathing properly, eating good. So I actually want to get this virus just to build my immunity to it and just see if I'll be part of the 99.8% survivals.
What really irritated me is the way the vaccine pushers would try to immediately minimize any alternative therapies.
Yeah, there's not a lot of talk about it. It's really
no. They would just want to hush that stuff up. But if you want to do the research, but look at breathing hydrogen, like hydrogen peroxide. I was using a nebulizer. In fact, we're on camera, right? Or is this audio?
We just checked. Yeah, we're recording. We're
okay.
Video as well.
Yeah, we're good.
I just used a little nebulizer. Maybe you can see that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I filled with hydrogen peroxide, and I just breathed hydrogen in my lungs, which has tremendously protective properties.
You do that,
and I've been sort of like, for years I was traveling, so I wasn't carrying supplements with me because I was living the life of a digital nomad, living out of one bag for pretty much 15 years. So I couldn't carry stuff with me, but I really bumped up my supplementation to my diet. I was taking liposomal C and making sure taking vitamin D, because I'm living in the Pacific Northwest where we don't get much sun. So definitely needed to keep my D levels up. And I was taking bamboo salt. These are all things I was reading about. And I think they have had a very protective effect on me. And I was exposed to a lot of people because people were coming in to train with me. I have a garage gym set up. I have a 10 by 15 foot, I don't know what that is in meters but 10 by 15 mat set up in the garage for teaching private jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's nice.
And I had dudes coming in from all over the place, So I know I was potentially exposed. Plus I flew to South Carolina and stayed there for almost 5 months training jiu-jitsu with all these guys I didn't know. Wow. So there was a good chance I was exposed, but once again, strong immune systems.
That's it.
That's what protects you from anything.
It
wouldn't matter whether it's coronavirus, Ebola. I mean, the strong immune system will carry the day.
Does it frustrate you, because you're in the industry for forever, right? In the fitness industry and the jiu-jitsu community and all that. Does it frustrate you that the main narrative for this whole pandemic had nothing to do about taking care of yourself physically, with food, with supplementation, exercise. This was like I don't even know, maybe 6 to 8 months of zero reporting on this. And then eventually they started saying, hey, vitamin D is actually good for it, and you should go outside and do more activities, physical activity. But the narrative left this whole portion out. And I know Joe Rogan would talk about this over and over again. And I think it's a really important point. And I still can't figure out why this wasn't in the discussion, whether it's about fat shaming or I don't know the motives behind not talking about it. But there's so much we can do with our bodies and our nutrition that can fend off most viruses. And I feel like this could have been a huge platform for the mainstream media to push that and to talk about these kind of things more. But they
no, mainstream media is owned by, like basically, they're shills for the powers that be, which are basically run by corporations that are making shitload of money off vaccines,
Exactly.
But, that people, as soon as you start talking like this, people think you're freaking nuts, They want to label you as a kook or a nut, or they'll just use the word, conspiracy theory, and is that's supposed to end the argument.
Yeah,
they're just scared to be ostracized.
But I mean, if you look at the health of the United States, I mean, this is hard fact. Almost 68%, I believe, is overweight, and a good. I'm not sure the exact statistics. I just looked this up the other day, but it's over 34% that are medically obese. These are the people that are getting sick, and if you say it, obesity is a problem, you're fat shaming. All the politically correct nonsense. I mean, they just take it too far. If you're fat and overweight and you're suffering from any other comorbidities like diabetes or heart, man, you're in danger.
Yeah.
But you're in danger from any of that. It could be just regular, anything that throws your system off. You're very fragile, and you have a good chance of suffering from any number of diseases. So the main takeaway, I think, from all this is keep your immune system really, really strong. And if you take the vaccine or you don't take the vaccine, you still got to keep your immune system strong. And if you're carrying too much body fat, get it off.
Yeah.
You find a way to lose weight. People lose weight every day. I see articles of people losing 100 pounds, 140 pounds, this success story, that. So it can be done. Yeah. If one man can do it or one woman can do it, so can you.
I think people really feel like it's impossible. And actually, we had another guest on. He's a PhD and a nutritionist. He had a really good point about how, like, there's a huge psychological aspect. If someone is like overeating and they don't have like some thyroid issue, like there's no medical reason why they're overweight or something. Like there's something that needs to be addressed. It's everyone knows, everyone has the science, everyone is aware. Exercise, healthy diet, eat less is becoming much more. Like a common knowledge as well. Like you'll age better. You don't need to eat as much. Like all the idea of like the bad oils and the bad fats and all the sugar and everything. It is just available. There is an addiction aspect to it, but there is also just this like kind of cultural like acceptability of it that's like just freaking weird. And it's like you can't. I don't think it's gonna last long to have this conversation of like telling someone how to live healthy is somehow shaming them. Like it's just hopefully it's just a loud minority that we always talk about, like there's just a group of people that don't want to deal with it or don't know how to deal with it, and they're moving the goalposts, like it's not easy. We're not shaming anybody, we understand that, but like, if you're scared of COVID for real, don't yell at me for not wearing a mask and then you're scarfing down McDonald's. Like there's a lot of ways to reinforce your immune system with cold showers, with vitamin D, with sauna, with exercise, with meditation, with touching people. That's another thing that's scary, right? Is like a lot of the things that we want to do to help our immune system, like go to the gym, these are things they would argue are going to spread COVID. So you start hitting that wall, right? So, there's some things you just can't do, but better than anybody. There's no excuse. You can find a way to do some pull-ups or some push-ups at home.
You can find a way, man. I really specialize in minimalist workouts and at home workouts. And I pretty, there for the longest time, I got involved with the kettlebell movement in the U.S. I was one of the ground floor practitioners, but I came to realize that was a step in the wrong direction. I do believe that type of ballistic training, along with plyometrics, box jumps, those type of things, really erode joint health over the long term and are just unnecessary. And this idea that you can do fast, explosive repetitions and you're working fast twitch muscle fiber, this is simply not true. You can not move at all and do isometrics and work every muscle fiber in your body. You don't even need movement. I really came full circle with a lot of the ideas about that. Wow. And it's really funny because, like I say, I was one of the first practitioners of kettlebells in the U.S. And my ex-wife, DC Maxwell, was too. And I remember when we first started this, she said, man, wouldn't it be a kick in the pants that if 10 years down the line we find out that this stuff is really bad for us, And I said, shut up, man. Don't talk. That's
not possible.
It's funny because I have
I felt damn near injured almost every workout. And I don't think I'm telling tales out of school, but she had to have her hip replaced. A lot of the big time kettlebell gurus have already had joint replacement surgeries and elbow surgeries, knee surgeries. It's no secret,
I wanted to ask you, how did you get
what
to
kind of system does that to you?
How did you get to this philosophy of tuning away from like these like box jumps and these heavyweight training exercise regimes that are promoted everywhere? How did you how did you get access to this knowledge of isometric training? Like, what shifted in your life that got you there?
Well, actually, it's a return to the old. Back in the 60s, my wrestling coach was very big into isometrics, and I saw firsthand how well the isometrics work. We used to do manual resistance, which is like one partner resisting another. I just did a little workshop on that, my own little webinar on manual resistance. A lot of people never heard of it, never did it. It was the brainchild of Dan Riley. I don't think he invented it by any stretch. I'm sure you could go back in time and the Spartans were probably doing something like that, or the Roman gladiators. But we did a lot of those old school training techniques. And then in the 70s, I was very much involved with Nautilus and Arthur Jones and high intensity training system. And I was in tremendous shape. I was a Division I NCAA wrestler back in those days. And I was in the best shape of my life training with the machines. Yeah. This whole idea that machines are non-functional or whatever, that's simply not true. What's not functional is hitting a tractor tire with a sledgehammer, really inefficient way to strengthen your body or condition yourself. So I already knew a lot about this before. And then I eventually got involved with Super Slow, Ken Hutchins and the Super Slow guys. And that was a wonderful way to train. And when I opened up my gym in 90, I worked at many, many gyms around the U.S., but I finally opened up my own place in 1990. Okay. And we made Super Slow one of the foundations of our program. And we had a lot of vintage Nautilus that had been retrofitted with cams to change the strength curve a little bit to accommodate slower rep movement. And I had a lot of elderly population, people over 50 and over 60 coming in to train. And that was a real boon for those folks, that type of strength training. Very safe, very efficient. And so I knew a lot about this, but I started getting bored. And I also was involved heavily in the beginnings of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu explosion in the U.S. I was looking for ways to kind of maximize my performance. And I felt like I wanted to do something different. And I started investigating the way old-time grapplers used to train, figuring that, going back in time rather than looking at modern athletes, because, you can never be sure they're not using performance-enhancing drugs, right, any modern times. So, any information prior to 1940s is pretty much drug-free. So that's where I went. But I think it was a step in the wrong direction. I really do. I've since then come full circle. I started having a lot of shoulder issues myself with the kettlebells, and I just realized it's just not a very sustainable way to train.
Okay.
And you don't need to train fast and explosively. Even swings, as benign as they seem, can cause a lot of shearing force in the spine. And I was waking up with a lot of stiffness. Now you couple that with, jiu-jitsu training. Wow.
Yeah.
You have like a double whammy effect.
Yeah.
So I went back to using slow, high tension reps and using basic compound bodyweight exercises. And I supplement that with a little rubber band resistance and isometrics. And I find for a man my age, 68, it's a perfect way to train. But I would admonish all those young people out there to look at it now. You don't want to wait until you start building up calcium deposits in your shoulder or your neck or your spine and then have to go to super slow. Better never to get that type of osteoarthritis in your joints in the first place. And you can do that by training with high tension, slow rep type exercises. And no, it won't make you slow. And if you want to get explosive for the mat, you practice the exact skills that you're trying to perfect. But, training and throwing barbells around or kettlebells around, it doesn't make you faster than anything else. You just get good at throwing barbells and kettlebells around. Yes, the strength, it does work. You will get muscular, you will get strong, but there's better ways to do it, safer ways to do it. Get the same strength, but in a safer way.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, because I recently bought a kettlebell and I love it, and I'm trying to be really careful because last time we talked to you, you were really adamant on going slow and still getting a huge benefit, and I really took that to heart, and I've seen a lot of improvements doing simple things, just body weight squats, push-ups, pull-ups, really going slow, really challenging the muscle, really having good form. Even I had a yoga ball for a few months working at my desk, and just having that static activity in my legs got really strong and visibly strong. You're not getting that crazy hypertrophy if you're doing this slow thing. I mean, I'm not, maybe because like you said, I get kind of bored in the moment sometimes, but I was getting definition, I was getting strong, but I wonder if there's this knees over toes guy on YouTube. I don't know if you follow him, but a lot of people are showing that the body can do this stuff, but you really have to build up to it. So it's is there any of this in the future for people who want to be hyper athletic, or is it just always going to cause some kind of damage? Is there always a trade-off and you're always going to end up screwing yourself into old age?
Well, here's the problem that I see. We see the YouTube wonders. The guys with amazing 6-packs, or in some cases 8-packs, amazing muscular size and definition, doing all sorts of really amazing athletic feats. And maybe some of their training programs are pretty extreme, gymnastic kind of stunts and tricks and feats. And they are the far right of the bell curve. If you take strength of fitness, most of us fit in the middle of this bell curve. And to the left of the bell curve are people with zero athletic potential. Think Woody Allen,
That's a good example.
or yeah. And then on the far right, you got your Arnold Schwarzenegger, in his young days.
Yeah.
Or you got your Ido Portals, or you got these amazing fit specimens, right? UFC fighters, gymnasts and all that. They're on the far right. They're genetically gifted people that no matter what they would do would be better than the average person, probably even if they didn't train at all. I met a guy the other day at the supermarket that was so amazingly muscular, and he told me he doesn't train. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. And anything that guy would do, he would look like a god compared to most people. He would. Yeah. So they're on the far right. And all of us in the middle, right? Why are we trying to emulate the guys in the far right? It doesn't make sense. You're just going to end up messing yourself up for no good reason. And just because a person uses a particular system and has had success with it, doesn't mean that he couldn't have got better results or perhaps faster results, but the big word, safer results from doing something else. So I'm not saying that these guys their systems don't work. Obviously, they do work, but do they work better? Do they work safer? Are they going to work for a person that's not so genetically gifted?
Mm-hmm.
How about just an average person like myself, very average genetics? You know, I could destroy myself trying to chase those guys. So that's my point. You don't need to do these insane, crazy routines. You really don't. I mean, if truth was known, a lot of these people would be out of business. You only need 1 or 2 strength workouts a week, and you need to be active every day for health, for sure. You know, and it all depends on your recovery, and that's genetic. Some people are recovery geniuses. They can take a beat and then come back the next day and seem to be fine. For me, it takes me a couple of days to recover from a really hard workout, and a little bit longer now that I'm a little bit older.
Yeah.
So, you know.
How do you know where you're hitting that threshold of overtraining and under recovering, let's call it, when you just, because it happened to me so many times where back in the jiu-jitsu days when gyms were open, we would train hard 4, 5, 6 days a week, and then I would have like a crash on like the Saturday and Sunday. I just feel really destroyed. But I didn't really have a system in capturing the overtraining portion of the week. And maybe I could have resulted in a better rest day if I was more aware of how my levels were. So do you have a system of recognizing it?
Well, sport is one thing and strength training is another.
Okay.
We strength train to strengthen and protect our muscles from injury so we can enjoy our sports. There's a big confusion between recreation and exercise. A lot of people think that everything from walking the dog to mowing the lawn to having sex is exercise. It is not. You know, exercise is pretty much a universal idea, and recreation is pretty much individual.
Okay.
And exercise isn't very much fun. You know, it's hard work. Whereas recreation is fun, rolling on the mat. Yeah. Okay, there's work, but it's fun work, right?
Yeah.
You know, running, for example, is kind of it's a recreational pursuit, but it's not necessarily exercise. It doesn't meet the 5-point definition of exercise. So the key here is don't confuse recreation with exercise. Now, how do I know I'm doing too much recreational activity? Well, my resting heart rate will be elevated when I wake up in the morning. You need to know what your average is. It might take you a week, 10 days to find that out, assuming you're not already overtrained. Okay. And as soon as I wake up in the morning, I whip out my iPhone. I go to instant heart rate. I don't make any money off these guys. This app right here, instant heart rate. And the little light shines. I put my finger on the, and then it measures my heart rate. Okay. I do that every morning when I first open my eyes in bed. And if my heart rate is 5 or more beats more than my average, for sure I'm overtrained.
Really? Okay.
I need elevated heart rate indicates stress and non-recovery. Okay. So I'll just take off that day. Now, when I take off, does that mean I just sit on the couch? No. I'll go out, I'll walk, I'll do breathing exercises, you know. I do a little combination of some of the Wim Hof stuff and the oxygen advantage, you know. I'll do mobility and stretching or maybe a yoga or something very soft.
Okay.
No strenuous poses, no handstands or, you know, anything like that. You know, just like a yin yoga kind of thing. And just be active, but nothing hard. And another way is if you wake up and your body feels like it's been beaten with baseball bats and you're sore and stiff and you can hardly move, take off. Don't go forcing yourself to go in there and do a 2-hour BJJ practice with some gorilla that's trying to tear your head off, you know. Give yourself a little recovery. Yeah. The other thing is like your enthusiasm. If you're really feeling enthusiastic and you're really raring to go, that's a good sign that you're probably recovered. So resting pulse rate, how your joints and your body feel when you wake up, your mood and your enthusiasm for whatever you're doing, that's a good indicator.
Nice.
When it comes to strength training, when you're younger, you should be making fairly steady progress. Not every workout, but you know, it might go up and then plateau, maybe go down, then plateau, then up. You should, over the weeks and months, seeing a slight upward trend in your strength.
Okay. And if you don't,
and if you're not, if you just plateaued out or going down, for sure you're overtraining. Now, that changes for veterans. People that have been training as long as me. I started training, I guess, 1964. My dad bought me my first barbell set, and so that's a lot of water under the dam. For me, the gains long ago dried up. I'm just trying to maintain what I built over a lifetime.
Yeah.
You're trying to prevent that age-related muscle loss called sarcopenia. So I'm just trying to keep what I had built, kind of like money in the bank, so to speak. Most guys that have been training 4 or 5 years pretty steady, you pretty much hit very close to your genetic peak, provided you're not overtraining.
That's it.
And you've been eating well. You have a good diet and you're training right. Within 4 to 5 years, you pretty much what you see in the mirror is what you're going to get. And see, that's disappointing to a lot of guys. A lot of guys will say, yeah, but the muscle magazines, they promise me if I take this magic supplement or this protein powder or I take this testosterone booster, I'm going to get this big G-whiz muscles like the YouTube phenoms. Yeah. It's just a lie. It's another lie. Simply not true. Most of us do not have the genetic propensity for gaining a lot of muscle size, no matter what we would do. Even if we were to take steroids, it would be pretty minimal increase. And I was loath to risk my health taking anabolic steroid drugs. Just too many side effects.
It's
too many unaccountable factors. Even under a doctor's supervision, it's still a real game of Russian roulette.
Yeah, I know it's something. I mean, it's funny. You made me think of this experience I had with my brother. Like he's been working out for a good solid 6 years now, and he's really smart about it. He's just maintaining. He's definitely reached his genetic limit. But then COVID hits, all the gyms close, he starts shrinking and stuff. I remember before COVID, we were in the gym, and he just had his I saw his ankle. You got a picture. I'll just paint you a picture. My brother, it looks like Captain America. He is jacked. He's like a little bit shorter than me. He's like average height. We have a kind of natural let's say endomorphic genetic thing going on. We're pretty much on the lucky side, but we're not beasts either.
Mesomorphic.
Mesomorph, thank you. Yeah, endo and ecto are the big and small, right? Yeah, so we're more on the mesomorphic
endo,
side.
the heavier, fatter type.
And
ecto's skinny, more like distance runner kind of guys.
Yeah, so we have a nice middle, and we have an easy time putting on muscle. I've met I've met those genetic freaks as well. I have met this guy, his brother and him and his dad. They never worked out a day in their life, and they have tennis balls under their biceps.
I know. It's frustrating.
I know, but to that point, I just without thinking, I just told my brother his ankles look small, but it's because his calves are so big. But it's we just have this skinny natural build, And I saw it. It's like I shot him in the heart. It was so funny. It's he was like, "What do you mean?" I hurt his feelings. I really hurt his feelings. Even though, like I say, this guy looks like Chris Evans and Chris Pratt put together, he's really just
it's
built
because
everywhere.
Even within the same family, you can have two brothers with completely different genetics, depending on who inherited what.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think he has to work for it a little more than I do.
I had a younger brother that was tall, really much taller than me, and relatively lanky and thin and lean. Yeah. And I was shorter and stockier, And my brother took after my maternal grandfather, who was tall and lanky and lean like that. And I took more after my father's side of the family, small and, kind of lean and wiry, not particularly athletically gifted or genetically gifted to gain a lot of muscle. That didn't stop me from trying.
Trying's the only thing that matters, is what I realize. It doesn't matter what dice roll you got. I think I pack on muscle a little more easily than my brother, but my brother is still he could hold me down with a finger at this point. I just don't I don't have the devotion that he does. But I see what you're saying. I take a lot from my mother's side physically. We both look alike. I think my dad's genes are very strong in that sense, but he looks. He seems to have more from my dad's side, and I have more from my mom's side. in that body type sense. I wonder if you and your brother have any kind of like obvious differences like that also.
Yeah, I think he's more. Which one's the one that puts muscle on more? It's endo.
The mesomorph.
Mesomorph in
yeah.
general is like best of both
Yeah, my brother's
worlds.
just a more bodybuilder, meathead style.
Yeah.
Which is funny to your point, Steve, because my brother's been bodybuilding for 15 plus years. Just because of COVID, he kind of everything, at least where we are, most things are closed for this whole year. So he actually tore his bicep tendon just lifting something up. And it was just, yeah. And I realized it probably happened accumulative from just all those heavy lifting sessions that he used to do. Because he would, like the bodybuilder mentality, they would just go heavy and lift high reps and lots of just
sometimes not paying attention to their form or their technique.
Yeah.
So I think just over time his tendon ruptured.
What's interesting you said that, because a lot of these injuries that you see on, let's say, the playing field, like, do you guys watch NFL?
No, I'm not a sports guy, honestly.
Not so big. More fighting.
But I mean, it won't be unusual to see a guy go in for a play and all of a sudden he pulls up with a pulled hamstring or, blows an ACL in the knee. And it's not readily apparent, like, what happened there? How comes the guy's hurt? Or even in the UFC, where guys are fighting, there'll be an injury, but you can't really tell, like, what exactly happened or how did it happen. What a lot of people don't realize is that injury had been brewing for not just for months. Yeah. All the micro trauma and micro insults in every workout that guy was doing, every box jump, every power clean, every time the guy was doing something questionable, like these bouncing kind of leg presses and stuff, they were creating a weakness in the connective tissue and joint, so that at that moment in time when the injury actually happened, that wasn't the exact cause. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
That's it. It
had been an entire accumulation building up for a long time. So injuries on the playing field are not always caused by, whatever it seems like the person was doing at the time. Like you see sprinters, it's very common for these guys to pull hamstrings, despite the fact that they're doing extensive strength training, despite the fact that these guys stretch, and you'll still see them pull up lame. A lot of it has to do with the type of training that they're doing. It's just injurious to the connective tissue. And like I say, every workout is like an insult to the body. And over time, this builds up so that, like, men like your brother will just do some innocuous thing, like pick something up, and bingo, there goes the back or the shoulder or the bicep tendon or whatever.
Yeah, it's accumulative. It's just, like you said,
cumulative trauma over time. Now, it's bad enough when you're in a contact sport or combat martial art or whatever, collision sports. It's going to happen no matter what. But I don't want to make my weight training also contribute to an injury like that. That's why I opted for the safer, slower, high-tension, controlled repetition. And you're going to get as genetically strong as you're going to get. Doesn't matter. Fast, slow, in between. Olympic lifting, powerlifting, kettlebells, gymnastics. I mean, I'm not here to say it doesn't work. There's people that build their bodies with just any number of ways. Yeah. But there's better and there's best. There's safer and there's dangerous. And if you're comparing two different training systems, and one takes 2 hours in the gym and one takes 30 minutes, I'm going to go for the 30-minute one. If one is using risky exercises that could potentially injure me, and one's based on safety, I'm going to go with the safest protocol. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get to your genetic peak pretty much no matter what you do. Yeah. So why not pick the routine that's safer and you don't have to spend as much time in the gym.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way I see it.
Longevity is a thing, man. You want to plan for
longevity is the thing, man. Listen, I had a mentor, an older guy, who got me started in the fitness industry, and he used to say to me, "Yeah, Steve, anyone can be something amazing at 30 or 40, or even 50. You can be really something, but you rarely see anyone like 80 years old that's really amazing. Yeah, you really don't. Mid 70s, 80s, 90s, rarely. It's so rare that they're usually like on the, in like a major newspaper somewhere, or a big article or something,
Yeah.
But for the most part, you take the average person, once they get in their 70s or 80s, it's pretty sad,
Oh, my dad can barely walk. He's 77. He's
Yeah, I mean,
halfway
it's
through the
pretty
day he
sharp.
starts limping. Yeah.
I started teaching a cane self-defense class, like
Yeah,
a
we
regular
saw.
walking stick.
Yeah, we saw
It's
that.
like a thing. Yeah, it's like it's a whole martial art built on walking sticks. It's very popular right now, especially in the States. There's this group called the Cane Masters, and it's really fun. It was like the martial arts of Sherlock Holmes. Remember, you use that walking stick, the cane.
Yeah.
And it's really good for elders, because a lot of people use a walking stick or cane anyway. So I started studying it, and I started teaching it. But oh my God, it's like I had to go 10 steps backwards and just teach them how to get up and down off the floor.
There you go.
Literally.
Yeah.
They couldn't get down to the floor and get back up.
Yeah.
So,
I can
we had to
imagine.
go way back. I started doing like basic movement patterns just to kind of rewire their brains. They forgot how to roll over or sit up or stand up off the floor. It's going to be pretty hard to defend yourself when you can't even move.
Yeah.
And of course, every one of them needs some form of strength training to make their muscles stronger. But, they're there for the cane class. So I do the best I can with what I got.
Are you
It's a
fusing jiu-jitsu into this? Because a lot of these getting up patterns are jiu-jitsu oriented, right? Like the technical stand is very like
I had to
applicable.
kind of take a few steps back.
Yeah.
To tell the truth, at the end of the class, we do baby crawling. Just rewire. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Baby crawling and creeping like an infant. Because they have a couple of these people who are so sedentary. One's an actual psychologist, like a therapist, just therapy sessions. The other guy, I forget what he has. He has some kind of business, and one guy also had a kind of physical business, but they're all beat up. They're like my age, and they literally cannot move. And how are you going to defend yourself if you can't move? You're overweight, you're weak, and you don't have any movement patterns. Good luck with that. Trying to fend off a 18-year-old thug, right?
It's a
Hard-
fair point.
Hard enough when you're young and fit.
It's funny. I guess the joke is that you need the cane, right? So it's like you're learning to defend with the cane, but it's like if you have a cane in your hand, it's because you have some trouble.
If you need it for mobility, good luck in using it for anything else. But it's interesting. They want to feel better about themselves. And they want to feel empowered, and I'm all for that.
Well, that's
So I give them what they want. They want to learn how to smack something with a cane or how to block something. That's cool.
Yeah.
But let's do some other stuff too. Let's get some movement patterns, and I sneak a little strength training in at the end.
That's it as a way in. I think you could even use my grandmother uses her cane often to work shoulder mobility.
Yeah, absolutely. We do all those drills.
Nice.
Shoulder, wrist, elbow, shoulders.
It's like a way
And
to
it's
just kind of integrate the
Very
cane.
small portion of the class is actually spent. I have like one of those Bob dummies.
Oh yeah.
You've seen them?
Sure.
Yeah. Good for pinpoint accuracy.
I think that's a good point that you're addressing self-defense as like almost with a holistic approach, because we're in the jiu-jitsu community and I see gyms that are teaching self-defense classes only, and they're doing movements like arm drags to disarm someone with a knife attack. But if you don't, but if you don't have a base level of fitness or strength or flexibility, mobility, these movement patterns you're practicing in like a 2-hour self-defense class a week are not going to ever apply. Like in jiu-jitsu, you learn a technique and then you spar in real time, almost 100% with partners every day. So your theory is getting tested and retested. So it's very good that you're implementing all these modalities into the self-defense, because I think a lot of self-defense schools kind of skip those crucial points that get you to being able to defend yourself. And that's a lot of it is not to do with the techniques, but rather how your fitness level is.
Yeah, it's like a pathway to integration.
The mind part of it too, just making people aware.
Yes.
I can't believe how many people walk down the street texting, like totally distracted, I mean, if I had bad intentions, it would be just so easy to come up and mug them, because they're not even present in the moment at all, so they have zero awareness of like what's going on around them. You know, they're not like looking down the street. Who's that dude in the corner? You know, hey, I hear footsteps behind me. I turn around to, you know, see who's behind me. I mean, awareness is so important, and I find that in today's distracted society, you know, people wearing earbuds or earphones, or texting or listening to music. You know, I like to listen to music, but not when I'm out in the street, man. I want to hear everything.
Yeah.
I want to hear that car's screeching tires. You know, I want to hear that truck turning over the engine in the parking lot. I want to know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I feel the same
people
way.
are just incredibly unaware. And then, you know, people seem to be almost, I don't know what it is, like reluctant to try to avert something, you know? I have no problem feeling nervous and crossing the street because I don't like the look of that guy down the street, you know?
It's true.
So I will try to avert anything. And I'm not advocating running for people, but I do sprint work, mostly as a self-defense drill. What better self-defense than to run like hell? You know?
Every martial artist, every master or teacher I've ever had has said that at some point. If you can run. And
Yeah, run like hell, man.
Yeah.
You know, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I'm just down from British Columbia. Like British Columbia is here, and where I'm here is on the Olympic Peninsula. I'm on this little peninsula called Port Townsend, and Vancouver Island is right there with Victoria, right across from us. So I'm
you got
very
some hot
close
weather.
to Canada. And it's pretty chilly here. And we get a lot of wild animals year round. I have deer walking across us right in the middle of this conversation. And I'm probably going to get some crap for this, but I like to feed the wildlife.
Oh, sure.
I feed my raccoons. I made friends with a mother with 2 baby raccoons, and I feed her. And I got these squirrels literally eating out of my hand. We have a squirrel here called the Douglas squirrel. It's only in this part of the world. It's only in British Columbia, Vancouver Island, and pretty much Washington State. Maybe a little Northern California. But they're the cutest, smartest little guys. And I have 2 of them. One I call Peanut, because he just loves eating, and he'll take peanuts out of my hand. And the other one I call Snatch and Grab, because he's nervous. He still doesn't trust me, and he'll come up and he'll eat on my hand, but he'll grab it and run like hell. But I watch the way these animals work, and they all run. All run. I saw a coyote out in the yard the other day, and what was the first thing he did? He ran. Ran. Self-defense. They run. There was a buck, a huge rack. I mean, this thing could have gored me to death. What's the first thing he did when he saw me? He was a little nervous. He ran. Animals in nature have common sense. You know, they will avert any kind of fighting or danger, other than during the mating season, maybe.
Or if you're in a city,
the males will go at it. But other than that, animals run.
Yeah.
You know, humans are the only animals stupid enough to try to stand there and fight or argue or whatever. My rights have been violated. Meanwhile, they get their lights punched out.
It's a fair point, because I think it's because we're not living under threat anymore. So we've kind of created these false senses of security a lot of times, and you're seeing it on TV on like how these like. I'm sure you've experienced this for years when you get a new person in jiu-jitsu who's maybe watched something on television, and then they think in their mind they're capable of so much more, and then you throw them to like a blue belt or a pretty well seasoned white belt just on his way to blue belt, and maybe half the size, and just smokes the guy, and then he just gets humbled. I think we get in our heads a lot more because we're not in a threatening society. We're pretty safe. We walk around normal life all the time. We don't have to worry about the coyotes, but the instinct should be the same. You know.
Yeah. You can't even
most guys think they're a lot tougher than what they really are.
That's the truth.
You know? And it's a real sobering experience. And even when you are trained, it's still sobering, you know. I've had some huge, strong guys, and wow, you know, size and strength can overcome a lot of martial arts technique, man.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, best avoid, you know, and only use any kind of action as an absolute last resort, man.
Yeah.
Absolute last resort. You know?
It's a great point.
I've often thought about having a gun or a firearm, you know, It's pretty popular in the U.S. these
Yeah.
days. But you know, I just in my own mind, I don't want to kill anyone.
Yeah,
You know?
of course.
It's a huge karmic debt. You know, and as I'm getting near the end of my life, I would prefer to go through my life without ever having to have killed anyone. Even though I was in the military, thank God I was never in a war or anything. So, you know, it never came up. But it's a good thing that I never had to kill someone, and I prefer not to. And if you have a gun, sure, it works, and for sure, it doesn't matter how big or strong the guy is. You know, you can kill him. But there's a huge karmic debt in killing someone. I'd rather just avoid. I really, truly would. So for that reason, you know, I have a couple dummy guns for practicing gun disarms, but other than that, I prefer to go gunless and like the old kung fu movie. You know, remember Kwai Jane Kane?
Yeah.
There's reruns still on TV. Do you ever see it?
Years ago when I was a kid.
David Carradine? It's really good. Even to this day, there's shows still stand up. The Wandering Monk with his martial arts. Yeah. I'd rather do it like that. He preaches Buddhism, nonviolence in the show. So he'll go way out of his way not to injure or kill people if he can help it. And he has these amazing martial arts skills. That's a lot of fun.
It's a very wise. I never really thought of it in the terms of like karmic debt, you know, and in terms of not carrying a gun for that reason. And that's valuable to think like that, you know.
I mean,
well, think about it this way: what do you do with a gun? You know, it's for killing.
Yeah, you blow somebody away.
And what are you going to kill a person? And if you have a gun, let's say you say, "Oh, I'm never going to use it," or "I don't intend to use it."
Yeah.
But you can't help but have a gun and not visualize using it. You're going to see it in your hand. You're going to imagine shooting someone, and you couldn't help it. And what you visualize, you create. Our realities are pretty much the sum total of all our visualizations. So if I have a gun and I'm visualizing using it, there's a very good chance at some point I may actually do that.
Yeah.
Now, I do know that there are some police and some people that are in the field of law enforcement or whatever that never pulled their gun in their whole career. You hear about that.
Yeah.
So that might be an argument against what I'm saying. But still, there's a very good chance that there's going to be a point where you might use it. I prefer not to. To tell the truth, I'd rather die. I'd be karmic free. Then I'd just go into the next life, you know,
clean slate.
higher level.
Yeah.
Or maybe get off the cycle, you know.
I mean,
for people to believe that way, you know. Some
it sure
people
feels that
might
way.
think it sounds kind of kooky, but
no,
you know,
not for our audience.
No, not about. Yeah, one way or the other, it kind of has some sense to it. You know, you're leaving some reverberations in the world. You know, whether you in some kind of soul like come back as like a dog or a human with more luck or whatever you want to believe. That's definitely like we'll see when we get there kind of territory. But
I'll see when I get there.
Exactly,
but you know, I think there's a lot of evidence to support that this is probably a strong possibility. You know.
Like there's a when you're paying attention and you start seeing these things in life, like this kind of synchronicity and like these doors opening in your life, and you kind of have like this more spiritual way of understanding the world. Man, it really does like click into something that is already there. It feels like, you know, and if you're talking to somebody about this that's not there yet or never will be there for whatever reason,
it sounds too nice.
No, exactly. They don't get it, and you're just like and then you talk to someone who does, and it's like another language, you know, and it's like you.
Yeah, it's very refreshing though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
To find people that you know have the understanding and awareness that what we think and what we say and affects what we do, and what we do affects our reality. Yeah. You know, we kind of create our own reality through what we think, say, and do.
Yeah, we really do.
And you can't really control your thoughts, you know. I used to try to practice this thought control. It's impossible, you know, because not all thoughts come from within ourselves. Some of it comes from without, you know.
Channeled in.
Yeah, we channel a lot of thoughts. Yeah. But you can certainly filter those thoughts and just be aware that you have this continuous inner conversation and, you know, this awareness there's continuously these thoughts passing in and out of my head, and you can select which ones that you want to keep and which ones that you reject.
Yeah.
So you'll appreciate this. Did you ever see Sanjuro, a judo saga? It was a Kurosawa movie on the origins of judo.
Sounds very familiar. I don't think I watched it though.
Yeah, it's pre-World War II, I think, black and white. A lot of the original footage was cut out of it. But in the scene, the young judoka comes up against a couple thugs in the street, and he uses, in those days, judo and jiu-jitsu were pretty much synonymous, you know?
Yeah.
Judo is just a form of jiu-jitsu. And that's what Maeda taught the Gracies, basically, you know, the old school judo.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's approached by these thugs in Kyoto, where they have a lot of canals, like a river, but with thick walls. So he's attacked, and he does this beautiful tomonagi, stomach swell, and he whips the guy way up over and throws him in the canal. And the next guy comes in, he does like a wishigari and throws him, like a springing hip throw, and throws him into the canal. And then the next guy, I think, just runs away. But anyway, I had that scene, and that's how I deal with my thoughts. It's like mental judo, right?
Yeah.
The ones I like, I keep, but the negative ones, I literally see myself throwing it in the canal and getting rid of it. Fear thoughts, you know, pessimistic thoughts, any kind of negative thought I come up with, I do my little judo throw into the canal.
I fucking love that.
As a visualization.
Yeah,
Mental judo.
I remember
Fear,
a while ago.
Doubt.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I got this, but someone said, like, I think they used the word magic. They said it's really powerful magic and like creating your life to accept and reject thoughts consciously, like you said. No, don't worry too much. Don't beat yourself up too much about what's coming through, but really just kind of select what you give energy to. And I've always kind of kept it in that kind of verbal sense, and it's been very powerful. I'll catch myself feeling like just giving into some weird thoughts that, you know, are just, you know, visitors. They don't need to linger unless I say so. And I literally will out loud say, I reject that thought, or even just think it or feel it, you know, and it helps so much. But I'm just in love with that. Like, you know, just like, tossing some dude into the canal kind of visualization, you know, like, or in my case, maybe, like a punch, just some kind of like
deflection. Either you move your head or a little deflection. Or...
This Aikido sort of like, you know, just like let you fall with your own energy. Like I don't even need to address you, kind of thing.
Yeah, pull a Matrix kind of move.
Exactly.
Whoa!
Yeah, I was actually wondering before. I forgot to ask. I'm just curious. It's a little off topic, but like this cane martial art that you're teaching, is there like some white crane or like some older kung fu inspiring?
Yeah,
that,
apparently there's a lot of like the American Cane Fighting Society. That's based in karate and kung fu. I had a bunch of videotapes that I started looking at because I was asked to teach this class and I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Shit.
And so, you know, I got a bunch of DVDs and a whole bunch of different books. Hard to learn from a book. Really hard.
Yeah.
DVDs, a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I read the books anyway. And then I watched the DVDs and I practiced. And then I'd just go out every day and hitting leaves on trees. And, you know, like the old sword masters in Japan, they would go in a bamboo forest and condition their wrists and elbows and forearms. And then I discovered there's this cane swinging type of thing, you know, where it's real fancy, where you swing and do all these cool it has nothing to do with real fighting, but it looks cool. You know?
It's fancy, exactly.
Like baton twirling or something, you know?
Yeah, the flash, the flare.
And I only did it because I had a client that was begging me to teach him something, because he figured, you know, in his mind, oh, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, so I know all this stuff. He doesn't realize that there's all these different disciplines, you know? You just don't. But it was good for me. I mean, in that it just taught me something new and good for my brain, you know, the plasticity of the brain to learn new things. So, yeah, I've just been having a lot of fun with it. And to tell the truth, I'm starting to get kind of good.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I could go in and sword fight a cane master, but I certainly could use that cane to whack a young whippersnapper up upside the head or the side of the leg if it came at me.
I wonder if in any
and see, there's a negative visualization, by the way.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well,
Seeing it in my
I actually got another one teed up. I was wondering, is there any recoil? Like if you grab this thing and like smack a tree or something, and you're practicing,
a lot of reverberation recoil. Yep.
is this hurting your elbow and stuff like that over time? Or?
Yeah. There's some negatives to it. You got to be careful with the full contact stuff. It's one thing to swing it through the air. That's bad enough. I mean, look at tennis. Tennis elbow is very common.
Sure.
So you got to strengthen your tendons, your ligaments. You got to do proper strength training. There's also conditioning drills just to get your wrist, fingers, elbows. I do a lot of that. It's real interesting because I used to play drums when I was younger. And I was in a drumming bugle corps, rudimentary type drumming. And a lot of the exercises with the cane are very similar to some of the drum things we used to do with the drumstick for conditioning our wrist, elbows, and forearms.
I'd love
so
to
I have to be
ask you.
careful with the elders that I'm working with these canes. My biggest fear is, and I hate to use the word fear, but concern, that they're going to try something and someone's going to grab their cane from them.
Oh, yeah.
So we practice a lot of cane retention techniques also, how to keep it.
Okay.
Not just about hitting someone, but blocks and retaining it so someone doesn't take it. But once again, man, if you're dealing with a very unfit population, they don't have a lot of options. Just hope that the person attacking you is more unfit than you are.
Well, it's like you said, it's really 50-50 on mentality. It's just the fact that you're getting moving again, you're getting confidence again, and then even if you have one or two like really good techniques of hitting and blocking, suddenly you're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you're a force.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, just put up even a superficial struggle. Most thugs will want to go onto an easier target.
That's a good point.
They're looking for easy prey. They don't want someone who's going to fight back.
That's true.
If you look at these CCT videos of people being attacked on the street, there's been a whole rash of elderly Asian people being attacked in the U.S. And
this whole
all these thugs
COVID
kind of
racism
behave in the same
thing,
kind of manner. They kind of sneak up on unaware elderly people
Wow.
and then punch them in the back of the head or beat them or it's not uncommon. It's been happening in California, New York. A lot of violence, and a lot of it is it's just these people being totally unaware and never expecting in a million years that someone would come up and hit them.
That comes to your point.
And a lot of these thugs are not particularly good shape either.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys are pretty overweight, and it's obvious that they don't have any real formal training or anything. They're just bigger and stronger than the person they were attacking.
But it comes to your point from before of just self-awareness and awareness of your environment and how at every moment if you're out, you have to kind of always have that mechanism turned on. And you can learn that and practice that. I think it's something with jiu-jitsu because there's so much proprioception happening. Like in such a quick moment, you're thinking of so many attacks and you have to feel the most subtle movements of your training partner's body, and you can recognize what they're going to go for. And I think, because I remember when I was deep in my jiu-jitsu days, I was just aware of everything. It wasn't just physical at that point. I would go for a walk or wherever, and I just knew at every corner there's a person there, there's something there. Yeah. And it's like my nervous system is sparking and ready to respond to any type of movement. So I think you can train that peripheral awareness and how important it is for just your safety, right? If you're just aware of your environment, it can just that alone, if there's someone coming from behind and you hear footsteps and you turn around, could just save your life essentially.
Absolutely. And people, it's amazing how many people are too embarrassed to do that or feel too self-conscious to do that.
To turn around.
It's like, wow.
Well, in Canada, it's a thing, man. We're like over polite here.
Who teaches people to be, afraid to turn around and look someone in the eye,
Yeah.
But you'd be amazed how many people are uncomfortable doing that. They feel embarrassed or they feel, I don't know, just really uncomfortable, but not me. I'll turn around. I want to, who's back there?
Yeah.
I feel like it just comes from martial arts. Like I've done. I mean, you must think these people are idiots, but like people who do parkour or like free running, like these kind of.
Not idiots,
As long as you do
but
it right, yeah.
You don't see many people over the age of 25.
That's exactly. But whatever discipline.
I've seen the wipeout videos. Oh,
Oh
God,
Lord, I
hurts me
can't.
to say.
I
gonna be
can't,
brutal.
I can't, man. Yeah, it's bad. For every dude doing some amazing like front flip into a land on a bar or something, there's 20 dudes breaking a kneecap or nutting themselves on a railing or
like
something.
half dozen of them in the emergency room.
I'm sure, man. A lot of kids too just don't know their limits and things like that. But anyway, my point is that when you do a martial art or something, like when you do something like that, you just gain this like respect, this physical respect. If you get choked out, or like some guy like the first time you get thrown proper in like a judo or kung fu setting, and you realize like the power you have when you really know what to do, you just kind of get this kind of fear of God in you, and you start respecting your environment more, and it just kind of comes with the territory. And I maybe some people feel like it's like an anxiety or something negative, and they don't want to think that way, but you just kind of earn it naturally if you have any kind of discipline, just like you're saying with the cane thing. Like if just in the mentality of learning to retain the cane, then if something clicks in your brain, you go, oh yeah, this is like a fight. Like I think I'm all powerful with this cane. What if they take the cane away from me? You just open up the mind to more security, to more like awareness, and like it's kind of like a nervousness, but I don't want to put a negative spin on it. It really just is this kind of like
Well, I mean, being aware isn't fear. It's just that you're just alert to all the possibilities.
Yeah.
And of course, it's impossible to be alert to all the possibilities, but you're certainly alert to more of what could happen than the person that's totally unaware with their earphones and walking down the street texting or just being oblivious or listening to music and all that. And I like to listen to music too, but I'm not going to do it outside. I'm not going to do it in a crowded street or in a big city or whatever. Save that for for inside my house or whatever.
I feel
one thing about the jiu-jitsu is real interesting. You ever notice how the white belts are so much more dangerous than anyone else? As far as injury, they thrash. Because they're reacting like a untrained person. And that's who you're going to face.
It's unpredictable.
Very unpredictable and so forth. And a lot of the things we do in jiu-jitsu, it's jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. And there's a certain set pattern to what's going to happen.
That's it.
And there's a strong predictability. But with the white belt or the new guy or a straight fight, it's very unpredictable. So you do kind of somewhat, it's impossible to simulate a real fight without people getting really hurt. But you do have to simulate a little bit. You do have to practice those scenarios to be really good at it as a discipline. And, it really, it pains me to see how many jiu-jitsu schools only start from their knees, no throws, no takedowns, only doing sports rolling, and you're not going to pull guard in the middle of a asphalt parking lot. Or I'd like to see you try to jump to a flying arm lock, in the middle of an icy street with cinders all over it in midwinter,
Well,
or, I mean, come on.
The last thing you want to do is.
So I think it's important to keep the martial in the martial art and the martial sport and practice some of the stand-up self-defense techniques. And jiu-jitsu is fantastic for that, man.
Incredible.
It was maybe you heard of that special spy school that was in Canada. It was during World War II. No. The British, what was it, the OSS? Or no, that was the American counterpart, the old CIA. The Brits and the Americans formed a spy school where they came up with a pretty hardcore martial art based on William Sykes and William Fairbairn.
Okay.
It was old school jiu-jitsu. Killer. The booklets are still out there. Kill or Be Killed, Get Tough.
Okay.
You can still buy those booklets. Old school self-defense techniques. And of course, the Gracies specialized in stand-up self-defense. I think everyone should practice some of that stuff,
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely. Most guys don't. They don't know it. Even black belts.
Yeah.
Really would be hard pressed in the fight against a bigger, stronger guy.
I was fortunate enough to, in my grappling career, early on to fall across the Montreal Wrestling Club, and those guys were just there because it's wrestling. They blew my mind with the techniques of from the standing up to the ground. And most schools 5-10 years ago, let's go 10 years ago, they weren't really doing much stand up at all. It's more common now to see in jiu-jitsu schools they're doing wrestling. But back then it was like you said, we start on our knees and we're just rolling. We high five, props go from the knees. It's like a unrealistic scenario, and you can excel so much because it goes to your guard right away or whatever. And it's like if we started standing, you may never have gotten in that position. So I think it's crucial to practice from the top to
And
bottom.
I wouldn't want to be my guard if I could help it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I'm only there because I have to be there.
Yeah.
If the guy put me there,
Hmm.
it's either being mounted or the guy's on top of me in the cross side or cross mount. So a better option for me is to have them in my guard so I can protect myself somewhat.
Yeah.
But do I want to be there?
No.
Heck no.
Definitely not.
No way, man. You know, I prefer to be on top.
Yeah.
My knee in his belly, or, you know, having thrown him so hard the fight's over already.
Which is
You know,
probably the
a
case.
good throw
Yeah.
can pretty much be a fight ender.
Yeah.
You know?
If they don't know how to land.
And I'm with you on the wrestling. You know,
Yeah.
being a former wrestler, wrestling can be a powerful martial art for putting the guy down to the ground.
Well, you see it in the UFC. Like, I think right now, most of the champion holders are all wrestlers originally. And it's just
To
such
be, man.
yeah, there you go.
I don't care how good the guy stand up is. Eventually, he's going to get a hold of you and put you down.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on top.
Yeah.
You can't put him on the bottom.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have to worry about his guard that much.
It's a
you
great
know?
example.
Probably the finest takedowns ever was GSP.
Yes.
Unbelievable single leg takedowns, man.
Yeah.
That guy showed how wrestling can be a great setup for putting a guy down to the ground.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's crucial for any discipline to have that base, and I think wrestling is one of the best bases to have when you go into martial arts because you can dictate where you want the fight to go.
But remember, we're talking about athlete versus athlete and people agreeing to fight. But it's shocking how poor the base is of just the average thug.
Mm.
A lot easier to throw and take off his feet than what you might imagine.
Yeah,
It's pretty shocking how easy they fall down.
it can
'Cause
kind
they
of
don't have
throw you
training.
off. It can
You
throw
know,
you off.
they may be big or strong,
Yeah,
but for the most part, they don't know how to fall.
Hmm.
They don't know how to take a fall. And you can pretty much take them off the feet somewhat easily once you know what to do.
that's it. But it can be unpredictable because the takedown could come so easy on someone who's never defended a takedown, and you can actually probably injure yourself too if they just fall incorrectly. It's very funny. It's
Yeah.
it's a special
Especially
sport.
if there's a weapon involved or something.
Yeah.
It's like- I wonder if
Well, weapons, that changes everything, man.
Yeah.
I tell you, you
Yeah.
take any average 12 or 13-year-old and put a knife in their hand,
Hmm.
it's like they're an automatic black belt, you know, when it comes to like trying to grapple a knife away from somebody.
Mm.
yeah, no, that's
Very
scary, man.
Very different. You know?
I grew
I
up
haven't
watching
seen
that stuff.
any. Most of the knife defenses are pretty sketchy, in my opinion. You know, I haven't seen one I really like yet that I think. Well, for sure you're going to get cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Knives are a really dangerous thing. That's why I like the cane.
Mm.
I'll take my cane against a knife any day.
Yeah, get some
You
distance.
got range.
I got a little
Exactly.
distance. You know?
Yeah.
I play with a
hit that
bow
knife
staff a
and-
lot, but I mean, you're not gonna have that in a street fight.
Both stuff. Just carry
Well,
it
I
with you.
carry my cane with me now.
Exactly.
You know, the cane cannot be taken from you by TSA.
Oh, good.
It's
Yeah.
a medical instrument.
Hey.
So as long as you don't have a sword inside it or something,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, Lord.
you're gonna be okay. You know, you can't have like a metal ball on the end of it. You know, like you know,
Oh, like a
or
shillelagh.
metal stud. But
Yeah.
if you have just a regular wooden walking stick with a rubber tip and the little curved crook, you can carry that through any airport and fly with it anywhere in the world.
It's good to know.
It's a medical instrument.
But you know those
And-
they're usually hollow, right? Like they're metal there with the like the adjustment. Like would that break? If you
Oh
hit
yeah, there's some canes like that. No, I'm talking about the wooden cane, the wooden walking stick,
something?
like the venerable one, like your grandfather or your great grandfather
Yeah,
had.
some good.
They're still
bamboo
pretty
one or
popular.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we have. That's what we use. So it's just a fun thing, man. I'm really digging it. It's something new for me. I like to learn new stuff.
But
I like it. Yeah.
speaking of the self-defense, because your lineage, you've learned from the Gracie family, right? At a very young age, you were
Directly from Master Elio and his
Yeah.
oldest son Horion and his second oldest son Helson.
Wow.
Now I have trained with the other boys, Hickson and Hoyler, and a lot of training with Hoyce. Hoyce is pretty
Wow.
amazing. I trained with all those guys.
Wow.
Also Holker, did a little training with Henzo, his cousin Helion. A lot of Gracies out there.
Yeah.
Also some Gracie students like Fabio Santos, really amazing practitioner, Kaiki, Enrique, amazing jiu-jitsu guy. I've been very fortunate to have some pretty high level jiu-jitsu guys.
Well, that's incredible. That's a huge list.
But
of your-
I got my black belt directly from the second son of Elio Gracie.
and their system, the original system, was very self-defense based. It was very
Very
like what you're
defense-based.
talking about, taking someone down, an attacker down, and there was a few strikes they even threw in there. I believe some counter.
Plenty of strike.
Yeah,
We have headbutts and palm heel and the old judo chop.
yes,
Palm strikes, elbows, headbutts, knees.
yeah,
Knee in the belly we do in sport is a lot different in the street. You do a knee drop right in the guy's ribs or
Oh.
groin or head or neck.
You kill a guy.
Yeah, well, that's George Floyd.
yeah.
Pretty lethal, and the guy didn't drop the knee; he just kept it on his
there.
neck. Now imagine if you meant harm and you dropped
Oh,
on the neck with your knee.
yeah,
That's a fight ender right there, man.
yeah.
That's serious hospital time or death.
Dunzo.
So these are the techniques of jiu-jitsu. They're very, very powerful. And a lot of the things that are banned in UFC are the bread and butter of jiu-jitsu self-defense. For example, up kicks. Very powerful, but banned. You cannot up kick someone who is on
When they're
even
on the
one
floor.
knee.
Yeah,
Very dangerous kick.
yeah,
They had to take it out. There would have been too many damaged jaws, broken teeth, or even neck fractures
Oof.
from up kicks from a down guy. So if it's good, as a sport, I could see them taking it out. But a lot of people forget that the kicks to the kidney with the heel from the guard, that's illegal. Rapid punches to the back of the head. That's all illegal stuff. And this is all things I learned in jiu-jitsu as part of the curriculum.
yeah. Well, that's,
Never mind bending a finger, which is actually easier to do than you think. Sticking your thumb in someone's eye or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, these are all straight defense systems in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that a lot of people don't realize just how powerful they are. And for good reason. They're banned in the sport of, the combat sports. You can't do them without people getting really messed up.
No, for sure. I mean, I did a bit of, Taekwondo was very like military, kind of weird, sportive. I did when I was younger, but then I did a good 4 years of White Crane Kung Fu. Obviously, a lot of it is showy and pretty, and it's an art as well. But man, the master was like, "This is how you do it, training," and then he would always take us aside and be like, "This is how you do it in real life. This is life or death. Go for the nuts. Go for the eyes. Go for the throat." Like, this is some ancient martial art. This is we go for the things you can't condition. We hit you on the top of the head. We're trying to kill you, and it's like when you're taught that, and the teacher is smart enough to say like, this is the distinction. Like, this is dangerous. We do this when we're training. We do this when we're defending our lives, and even this weird kind of fist where you poke out the index and you're just like popping ribs, hitting people in the eyes, like going for the throat and stuff like that. Like, you realize like, oh, like this guy's teaching me to kill somebody to really
Basically,
defend my life. Yeah.
yeah.
And it makes you sweat, man. It makes you go, ugh.
Pretty much so.
That's what I.
Well, why is she talking to me? I have my iPhone sitting here.
But does it bother you? Well, not bother you, but because jiu-jitsu took a huge direction into sport, and now it's like, it's incredible what these athletes can achieve and the techniques that they're using. But has the soul of jiu-jitsu kind of faded away, like what the Gracies teach, or is it still happening and it's just not as popular? I don't know, because most schools.
Well, it's still happening in different pockets. Like Hicks and Gracie,
Yeah.
very much adamant about keeping the martial arts in the jiu-jitsu. He has his Global Jiu-Jitsu Federation, which is separate and apart from the IFBJJ. That's pretty much has gone 100% support.
Okay.
They did start a self-defense, kind of like feeble self-defense movement, but it hasn't gotten a lot of traction. But the Valencia brothers in North Miami, they were the last people to directly get their belts from Elio Gracie. And Pedro Valencia is, his father was a red belt under Elio Gracie, and his grandfather was a red belt under Elio Gracie. So he's third generation Valencia brother jiu-jitsu. And of course, all the sons of Elio Gracie still teach very strong self-defense. And, you know, Hoyce, Hoyler, they're still teaching the original self-defense. Wow. Helson Gracie, my teacher. Horion, probably the best teacher in any field I've ever had. They still very strongly teach the self-defense. And of course, Elio Gracie's grandsons, Hiron and Henry Gracie, they had the Gracie Academy in California.
Yes.
And they have a huge network of jiu-jitsu schools throughout the world that are still sticking with the original jiu-jitsu self-defense programs. They call it the combatives program or street defense program.
Nice.
So they're around.
That's good to hear.
You don't hear it as much because, you know, the sport seems to be what has taken the world, people really interested in that. I heard there's going to be a demonstration sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the Olympics in Japan.
Really?
Because BJJ is very popular in Japan. That's what I heard. I haven't confirmed that.
That'd be amazing to see. I mean, they were been pushing for that forever to get this into the Olympics. So just to see that would be massive.
Yeah, I think they'd have to clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit more user-friendly, a bit more interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Because the average person is pretty boring watching a jiu-jitsu match.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Not to me, but
Yeah.
I mean to the average person that doesn't understand.
We just don't know what's going on.
What are they doing?
Oh,
They're wearing these pajamas and they're just laying there hugging each other.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You don't see the struggle and the mentality and like all the decisions and the physical struggle.
Yeah.
You don't see the tug of war it's not
it's
really
a game of
visible.
inches. There's really the slightest
Yeah,
wrong movement
really
and you're
just
fucked.
a game of inches and seconds. You know,
Yeah.
like you know, they said that about American football. You know, but I think jiu-jitsu is very similar. You know,
Yes.
you don't see all the little subtle things going on sometimes. Even if you're educated, you're still there's things you're not aware of about the positions the guys are in.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting, like a chess match.
Yes.
But a lot of people find chess very boring too. So
Yeah, it's hard to just see the depth. You're like you said, even someone who knows, you're not in there, and you don't know the little decisions or little you know, the guy's drilling a knee in a rib somewhere, or he's trying to squeeze something, and like you're not seeing from the other side.
yeah, he's caught, or his hand is caught in a certain way, or he just. My toes caught inside your gi, or the gi's wrapped in a way that is immobilizing me. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing that you grew up in such an environment, and in your jiu-jitsu career, starting literally from the best of the best. I mean, in the moment, I don't know if you were aware of how big that was, but looking back at the history, being part of the training with the Gracie family, all the way back to Helio and his sons, that's an amazing blessing to have that kind of knowledge around you, and I'm sure that's carried on to your practice up until now and forever. But
definitely a blessing. I mean,
yeah,
like when I started back in '89, no one had any clue what this was, including myself. And I went to that first seminar in the East Coast, and I just fell in love with it, and I started traveling out to Torrance. And right about 1990, I just set the mats up in my gym and started inviting old wrestling buddies and, members of the Philadelphia Judo Club to come over. And there was an Aikido school next door. Some of those guys came over, interested in looking at some groundwork. And in the beginning, I almost had to beg guys to come over and train,
Yeah.
And then it just started, boom, it exploded, man.
Wow.
And all through 89, 90, 91, 92. And then what really blew it up was when the first UFC, which was Rorion Gracie's brainchild here in the U.S. They had been doing fights like that in Brazil forever.
Yeah.
This type of, anything goes type fights. Lucha Libre.
Yes.
They called it free fighting or whatever. And so Rorion brought it to the U.S. and it just, everyone lost their minds. Here was this skinny Brazilian kid that wasn't muscular or anything at all, just kind of a very handsome, baby face, mild-mannered guy. And what was he, he's making these giants tap out, with chokes and submission holds.
Yeah.
People had no clue.
Yeah.
And after that, man, you had the explosion.
Wow.
There's a novelty aspect, but it really did blow up on its own merits. Just the fact that you can outsmart and out strategize, like it's this human body sport. I just love it. I love, you might get a bit of that in some other martial arts, but the idea that you can learn to take someone down who's like half your size if you're good enough, like that's so appealing.
Or if he takes you down, being able to defend yourself even off your back. The fight's not over just because I'm on my back.
Yeah.
You're on top of me.
Yeah.
The fight's not over, just getting started.
Yeah, just getting started.
I did a few days of jiu-jitsu. I've not. I mean, this guy's gonna come over soon and start showing me the ropes. But like, I'm so green. It's hilarious, man. Like to I don't even really respect or understand the idea of like being able to take a bigger guy. When I was at your school those couple of days there, they're smart enough to just like mix up the pairings and to you have to test your
yeah, good teachers should keep you safe and protect you in the beginning.
Oh yeah. Well,
if the black belt instructor is smart, he'll really work to protect especially his new students. Yeah. Keep people from hurt. Very important, man. And that's why in defense of starting on your knees, that most of the injuries happen during takedowns and throws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where the catastrophic injuries happen. So, yeah, from a safety point of view, the guys want to get a good roll and a good sweat. And most of them are there just for fun anyway. So, in the name of fun and recreation, sure, there's nothing wrong with starting on your knees. I understand it. But I still think that everyone should learn the basic throws and basic takedowns and basic stand-up self-defense.
Yeah.
But like separately, really, I guess, or later is what you're saying.
Well, no, I think you're right from day one.
Yeah, okay.
Even the little kids should know. But, when you actually go to live sparring, maybe start the beginners on their knees for a while until they start getting really good at falling and taking falls. Learning to take a fall is every bit as important as learning to throw.
That's 100%. Yeah.
Master Elliott, I was very proud of his ability to take a throw. And because he was small and weak and he would fight against much bigger, stronger guys, he would often, as they would throw him, he wouldn't resist. He'd literally throw himself into the throw and unweight the guy so the guy would fall to the ground.
Wow.
In the process of throwing him. And he was down to the ground right where he wanted to be, where he could neutralize a lot of the guy's size and strength. Because he learned quickly that once he hit the floor, the size and strength, it still matters, but not nearly as much as it does when you're standing up or trading punches or kicks or whatever.
100%.
Whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is that when you expose someone to the ground, how it becomes such an equal playing field in terms of the physical aspects, especially. And then if you don't have any knowledge of the techniques and the other person does, then I'm pretty sure it was Hoist that said it. It's like you're swimming with the sharks and you don't know how to swim, kind of thing.
Swimming with sharks.
Yeah.
And that being said, I still prefer not to go to the ground, especially like I said in some of the scenarios I told you, like a gravel driveway or asphalt or an icy straight in midwinter with all those cinders or salt all over it. I mean, I would do anything I could to not go to the ground. Yeah. But it'd still be there.
Yeah. You're just gonna get scratched
getting
up.
my block knocked off by some really strong, powerful guy. At least I could protect myself.
Yeah.
And then, you always have the specter of multiple attackers, pretty much don't want to be tied up in the ground with somebody if all his buddies are around trying to hit you or punch you or kick you or hit you with a club or something, Better, So there's times to go to the ground, times not to. Escape is always your best.
Run.
The running.
Run.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Do you have any? Do you give any credit to like these old Wing Chun guys who say that they like it's designed to take on multiple enemies and all that? Like, do you? Yeah. Okay. No.
In China right now, I don't know if you've been watching or not, but there's a MMA guy going around debunking all these old kung fu masters
There's a
and
few of
basically
them, yeah.
beating the crap out of these guys.
Yeah.
All the pressure point guys.
Yeah.
And it's so much so that the Chinese government arrested him because
No kidding.
they were
Oh, Lord.
upset that he was belittling their culture.
Wow.
Wow. That
But now there's another guy that's doing it. But meanwhile, the Chinese military is secretly learning MMA and Jiu-Jitsu.
for sure. Yeah.
They're teaching them all the techniques of Jiu-Jitsu and MMA.
Whew.
Secretly. They don't want to admit it. But yeah, all these kung fu masters that do, the Tai Chi guys, and the guy falls down. You see it with Russian Sistema too.
Yes.
You guys are in the big Sistema area,
Yeah.
with Vladimir,
Yeah.
who is, by the way, the real deal.
Mm.
And I have trained with him, and that guy is a badass.
Wow.
But some of the other
That's good to hear.
things are a little questionable, The fat Russian guy, the Michael Ryabko.
Yes.
The guy's a badass. In that I have been punched with him and I trained with him in Moscow. There's no doubt that guy can hit you so hard. But some of the things they're promoting are pretty questionable, Pretty questionable.
When I first started, I started before jiu-jitsu was Sistema. I went to a Sistema school. And the one thing I did get out of it, a lot of it was really weird, but what was really good about it was the breathing techniques and the body
Breathing,
awareness.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Man. And it's all based in that Yako breathing, by the way.
Okay.
And if you want to learn more about it, read the Oxygen Advantage.
Oxygen advantage.
That's the underlying theory of the system of breathing. But they've taken and developed it. But you may be surprised to know there's a whole bunch of different systems, Russian systems.
Okay.
Not just Vladimir Sistema. That's Ryabko Sistema.
Okay.
There's another guy by the name of Alexeyevich Kadeshnikov Sistema. He was an early practitioner in the Russian military. It's like Russian military martial arts. I went to Krasnodar and trained with him and his son, Arkady. That was quite an experience. That was really something else, man.
Wow.
I really learned a lot from Alexei Kadeshnikov.
Cool.
And he was like a physicist or a physics teacher, and he taught everything, using physics as the model. Very interesting stuff.
Nice.
And then I trained with Michael Grudev in Moscow, and he does Izbor Sistema,
Okay.
very ancient form of Slavic martial arts. It goes way back to the Russian Orthodox monks when they were defending against the Mongol hordes.
Jeez.
They can trace their history back that far.
Wow.
Pretty badass dudes. And Michael Grudev is a fantastic teacher and practitioner. He taught me a lot. I heard through the grapevine, if he ever listens to this, I hope he's not embarrassed, but he spent, I think, 4 years in a Russian prison, man.
Wow.
Be a badass.
Oh, that's pretty badass. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
He came out of there unscathed. And he was teaching me in one of the parks there in Moscow. What's that main park? Not Gorky Park, the one adjacent to it. And anyway, right along the Moscow River there. Wow, it was such good training, man.
Wow.
The guy was really, really good. And then my last stint was with another Kadashnikov guy. This guy, Colonel Maximsov. He is Ukrainian. He was in the Russian military. Then he was a Russian police officer, and he still retains the rank of colonel. And he lives in the Canary Islands most of the year. And I spent 3 months training with him in the Canary Islands. He got my level 1 teaching certificate. And his name is Alexander Maximsov.
Okay.
Tough guy.
Jeez.
Wow. Really lethal guy.
These Russians, man.
Friends and the Ukrainian Russian guys are scary, man.
Scary dudes.
I love them. They have such good hearts.
Oh. Even in wrestling, like that's the Buncho Wrestling Club. They're all Russians or Georgians, and they're just so humble but so strong and disciplined.
Oh, strong and disciplined.
Yeah.
And, I love it. But that whole Slavic fighting system, the Russian Slavic fighting systems, pretty lethal.
Yeah.
and it's principle based, whereas jiu-jitsu is technique based.
I see.
So I took a lot of these principles and put it back into my jiu-jitsu,
Wow.
especially my self-defense. So
Could you,
you might
compare
say
Systema?
that I kind of came up with a hybrid Systema Gracie Jiu-Jitsu little hybrid. Not that I tried to change the techniques of jiu-jitsu, but I just added the principles of Systema with the breath work and
Yes.
the softness along with the jiu-jitsu. So
Very cool.
yeah, so it's good to expand your mind, you know.
Well, that's it. That was
Now-
like the Bruce Lee
Now I'm
mentality.
working with a walking stick.
There
You
you
know,
go.
it's just good to challenge yourself and just do different stuff. And you know, here I am getting close to 70 and still learning new stuff. You know.
Well, that's what the bread and butter of it is just learning new things and expanding your mind, and that it kind of crosses into everything you already know, and it amplifies it all. So that's really cool
Yep.
to see that the learning never stops.
Learning never stops. With that, I'm going to have to bid you adieu. I have
Yes.
another appointment coming up.
Yeah, we're
I think
good.
what we've gone on almost an hour and a half. That's
Yeah,
pretty good. Huh?
we hit
Oh,
the
yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
That's
it's perfect,
me
actually.
having fun.
Yes.
Dude, yeah, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's real pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. I hope the people listening enjoyed it and
Yeah.
got something out. And my website is maxwellsc.com. S for strength, C for conditioning. maxwellsc.com. I have tons of instructional videos about exercise, isometrics, body weight training, and so forth. And I have a recent opening for online personal training,
Cool.
which I do through a combination of emails and Zoom. So anyone interested in learning more about my philosophy and this joint friendly way of training into old age, I'd like to hear from you. So
Awesome.
I might take
Thanks
that one
again,
myself.
guys.
Man. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, man.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
have
Take care.
have a really nice week.
You too.
Maybe I'll talk again soon.
Hopefully,
now.
yeah.
Of
soon,
course.
man. Always a pleasure. You're always welcome.